Welcome to Buzz Around the Globe. Greece has become the first majority Orthodox Christian nation to legalize same-sex marriage under civil law. At least for the near future, it will almost certainly be the only one. Eastern Orthodox leadership, despite lacking a single doctrinal authority like a pope, has been united in opposing recognition of same-sex relationships both within its own rights and in the civil realm. Public opinion in majority Orthodox countries has mostly been opposed to. But there are some signs of change. Two small majority Orthodox countries, Montenegro and Cyprus, have authorized same-sex unions in recent years, as did Greece in 2015 before upgrading to this week's approval of full marital status. Civil unions may become more common among Orthodox countries gravitating towards the European Union or the EU. They remain off the table in Russia, which has cracked down on LGBTQ+ expression and countries in its orbit. Eastern Orthodoxy is a socially conservative ancient church with elaborate rituals and a strict hierarchy. Churches are mostly organized along national lines, with multiple independent churches that share ancient doctrine and practices that both cooperate and squabble. Roughly 200 million Eastern Orthodox live primarily in Eastern Europe and neighboring Asian lands, with about half that total in Russia only, while smaller numbers live across the world. Like other international church bodies, Orthodoxy has confronted calls for LGBTQ+ inclusion. A 2016 statement by a council of most Orthodox churches called marriage between a man and a woman the oldest institution of divine law, and said members were forbidden from entering same-sex unions. In countries where they are a majority, Orthodox believers overwhelmingly said society should not accept homosexuality or approve same-sex marriage, according to surveys conducted in 2015 and 16 by the Pew Research Center, a Washington-based think tank. Greek Orthodox showed relative tolerance, with half of Orthodox saying homosexuality should be accepted and a quarter favoring same-sex marriage. In a more recent polls, Greek overall narrowly supported the marriage law. The Greek law validates marriage in the civil realm but doesn't require any church to perform such rites. Nevertheless, Greece's Orthodox leadership unanimously opposed the law in January, saying the duality of genders and their complementarity are not social inventions but originate from God. Greek Prime Minister acknowledged the church's position but said, "We are discussing the decisions of the Greek state, unrelated to theological beliefs." Now let's talk about two big states, Ukraine and Russia. In Ukraine, same-sex couples cannot register their status legally. In 2023, the issue became acute as many LGBTQ+ people joined Ukraine's armed forces. That year, a bill was introduced in parliament to establish civil partnerships for same-sex couples, providing basic rights such as compensation if one of the partners is killed in action. The All-Ukrainian Council of Churches and Religious Organizations, which includes Ukraine's two rival Orthodox churches, opposed the draft law, contending that some international entities are using the country's current vulnerability to force unwanted changes. The legislation remains pending. The Ukraine is majority Orthodox with various religious minorities. Now let's talk about Russia. In increasingly conservative Russia, President Vladimir Putin has forged a powerful alliance with the Russian Orthodox Church and has made traditional family values a cornerstone for his rule, juxtaposing them with perversions of the West, as he calls them. Putin effectively outlawed same-sex marriages in the 2020 constitutional revision that added a clause stipulating that marriage is a union of a man and a woman. In 2013, the Kremlin adopted what's known as the gay propaganda law, banning any public endorsement of non-traditional sexual relations among minors. After sending troops into Ukraine in 2022, Russian authorities ramped up a campaign against what it called the West's degrading moral influence in what rights advocates saw as an attempt to legitimize the war. The Russian Patriarch of Moscow has assailed LGBTQ+ rights. As head of the Russian Orthodox Church, he oversees the world's largest Orthodox flock. He depicted his country's invasion of Ukraine as part of a metaphysical struggle against a liberal agenda that included gay parades. In November, Russia's Supreme Court effectively outlawed LGBTQ+ activism, labeling what the government called the LGBTQ+ international movement as an extremist group and banning it in Russia. In 2021, a survey by Russia's top independent pollster, the Levada Center, showed that only 33% of Russians completely or somewhat agree that gay men and women should enjoy the same rights as heterosexuals, which is a decrease from earlier years. So it seems Greece just might be an outlier in the Orthodox world. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.